The US has returned 266 ancient artifacts to Italy. Police in Rome discovered the items had been looted and sold by an international network of smugglers in the late 1990s. Antiquities up to 3,000 years old were among the haul. Italy said some of the pieces are worth tens of millions of euros. This is the latest repatriation of ancient artifacts from the US to Rome. In January, archaeological artifacts valued more than 18 million euros were returned from New York. Well, let's get more on this now. We're joined by Christopher Marinello. He's the CEO of Art Recovery International. He hasn't worked on this specific case, but frequently works with Italian and other authorities on the return of stolen cultural heritage. He's in London and he's joining us live. Thank you very much for your time. This is a very confusing trail. Will there be a search for who stole this art and artifacts in the 1990s, possibly even earlier than that?
Well, unfortunately, the people who actually looted the tombs in Italy will probably never be located. But what happened is there was a British dealer named Robin Symes, a notorious dealer, who was buying from these so-called tombaroli, or tomb raiders in Italy, and then moving them on to some very important collections.
Where is Robert Symes now, out of curiosity?
Well, interestingly, he was never arrested for smuggling antiquities. The only time he was arrested was for contempt of court. But his former gallery is now in administration in Europe and in the UK, in bankruptcy, and tied up in the courts in both countries.
Okay, this is your area of great expertise. Just how difficult is it to find the culprits of these things?
Well, it's extremely difficult to find the individuals that actually did the digging. But what Italy has done is they have made a database of criminals who were handling these looted objects. And then they are very wisely working with US and other authorities to help enforce their export laws. And in this way, the Italian Cultural Heritage Police are able to recover objects that are in museums or in very important collections throughout the world, including the US.
You've answered my what was going to be my next question, which is why has Italy done such a great job of recovering looted objects? Why is it that Italy can do these things that other countries can't or don't? Is it that they have the will to, the resources?
Well, it really comes down to financing. They have put a priority on recovering their cultural heritage. Italy is an incredible source country for antiquities, and they put a great deal of interest and financing into this project. And any country could do so. I mean, of course, there's a lot of things in Italy that do not see this type of financing, but this is important to Italy, and this is where they put the money, and it's working. It's had phenomenal success.
Okay, these artifacts were stolen around the 1990s, as we mentioned. Just how big is the market for stolen artifacts now?
Oh, it's huge. It always has been a problem. There have always been people who are digging and stealing things from archaeological sites, and they get virtually nothing, sometimes just enough to eat. It's the middlemen. It's the people who know what these objects are and then move them to Western markets where people pay big money without checking the provenance of these objects. And by provenance, I mean a complete history and analysis of where these objects came from.
Okay.
And it's astounding to me that people will pay millions and millions of dollars and euros for these objects without checking where they came from.
Another thing that I find astounding that you just mentioned is that people are able to access what must be sensitive archaeological sites in order to loot from them. How are they able to do that?
Well, if you knew the topography of Italy, these sites are all over, everywhere. Even when Rome was digging their subway, they ran into incredible Roman ruins. So it's almost impossible to police every single site in Italy, as it is impossible to police every site in the world.
All right, Mr. Marinello, it's great to get your expertise on the subject. We really appreciate it. That is Christopher Marinello, the CEO of Art Recovery International, live in London. Thank you.
My pleasure.